Hi guys. So in today's video, I'm going to be touching on a couple of subtopics which I guess all kind of fall under the main umbrella category of the hustle culture in Singapore. And I'll be touching on a couple of pointers like what it's like to be successful at a young age. And just bearing in mind that everyone has differing views on success. Everyone has different definitions of what success means to them. To some people, earning $1 million by 25 is their definition of success. Right? For me, it's not so much, well, there isn't a dollar value attached to my definition of success, but it's more of when my reputation precedes me, and of course in a good way. I believe that when people are willing to put their neck on the line for you, or in this case for me, I believe that is when I'm truly successful. Let's say, for example, someone asks my friend, hey, I need help with wealth management, could you recommend me someone? And my friend says, let me give the contact of someone I know, I trust him, just drop him a text, he'll be able to settle everything for you. Right? That for me is when I'm truly successful, because I believe that it's not just my reputation that is at stake, it's their reputation is at stake as well. So to me, I believe that when people are so willing to stick their neck out for you, that is when I'm truly successful, because that is when your friends are the ones who actually 100, 200% believe in you and believe in your competency. Right, so next, another point I would like to cover is also how success has impacted my mental health. I also want to touch on dealing with haters. I believe that, in this current era of social media, a lot of people have to deal with haters, and it's not easy. I know in this TikTok era, 15, 16-year-olds are putting themselves out there on TikTok and they're getting a lot of hate comments. So I have people who ask me, what's my strategy of dealing with haters effectively? So that's something I want to touch on as well. And lastly, I also want to share more about what goes behind the scenes, because I feel like the majority of people don't really see what goes beyond face value. People tend to see successful individuals who are at a very young age and think that, oh, it's probably parents who handed it to them. They took over family business of some sort. But I can tell you that even if that were the case, even if you attribute someone's success to their parents, I can tell you that they worked their ass off for it. Because ultimately, if you don't work for it, you're not going to get the client. Let me give you an example. If my dad recommended me a friend who's worth, let's say, $200 million, right, and he has 20 million spare cash to invest, do you think that he would, just because he's my dad's friend, he would say, oh,
hey Justin, long time no see, let me write you a check for $20 million. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care if you earn or lose money.
it doesn't work that way. Even if my dad handed this client to me on a silver platter, I would still have to work my ass off, research on exactly what particular instrument complements his existing portfolio. In this climate of QT, where there are recessionary fears, where there are political tensions between Ukraine and Russia, and now between Taiwan and US, right, it's not that easy. This $200 million client still has to believe in what you're proposing to him. Yep, so these are the couple of pointers I would like to touch on. Maybe I'll just dive right into the first pointer, what it's like to be successful at a young age. Like I said, I believe that there are many things that often go behind the scenes of a successful individual that are often not talked about. People tend to romanticize hustle culture in Singapore. And don't get me wrong, I actually believe in working hard while you're young, especially when you don't have that many commitments or responsibilities. So I think for one, just for the sake of this portion of the video, I'm going to use the definition of success as someone who earns more than the average person their age. Okay, so as for me, after having worked a couple of years and I guess I would say earning slightly above average income than a person my age would, there are a couple of things that I realized I generally don't do or worry about anymore. And it's very minute things, like I realized that I don't check my bank account anymore. So prior to working, I actually checked my bank account quite often because I was always afraid that I didn't have enough money to get me by to the next paycheck. This was during the period where I was working at NTUC or even working part-time as a waiter. I also realized that I've become more generous, especially when, say for example, a close friend of mine wants to buy something for, cost a couple hundred, maybe $300-400. It's not that he can't afford it, but it's just he's not willing to spend that amount of money on himself. And I'll just go and buy it for him, because to me, it makes me happy that I'm able to, make my friends or loved ones happy. And I also realized that I've become less stingy, actually, because usually when I go grocery shopping for my parents, I typically will ask them to pay me back for, in the smallest things like $10-12. Nowadays, when I go to NTUC to shop for my own stuff, I will just ask my parents, I'm going to NTUC, do you want anything? Whatever my parents need, I'll just buy it for them, and I typically don't ask them to pay me back anymore because to me it's small change $20-30. Oh, and I also realized that I typically buy pretty much everything that I want. If I see something cool, I'll just buy it. And it can be good or bad actually, because good is buy whatever I want. But bad is I keep buying things that I end up not needing. You know, I see something cool, it's just $300, let me just buy it. So over time, spending a couple $100 here and there, a couple thousand here and there, it all adds up lah. And honestly, I have done a lot more with that money. So that is actually one of the downsides of being comfortable with the amount of money that you're earning. Well, I guess lastly, also people tend to take you more seriously. But I guess apart from the good stuff, I also kind of want to touch on how success has impacted my mental health. I realized that I don't have a very consistent appetite. Some days I really don't eat much. I guess generally my appetite has just gone down as compared to 2-3 years ago before I started working. Honestly, when I'm planning my day, sometimes I just want to cram as much as I can into one day. So I planned, meeting from 8:30 to 10:30, and then next meeting from 10:30 to 12:30, and by right I should be having lunch from say 12:30 to 1:30, but I will plan another meeting from 12:30 to 2:30, and then another one from 2:30 to 5, and then from 5 to 6. So actually when I'm planning my schedule, I know that I should be leaving that gap for lunch, but I don't know, I just want to do as much as I can in a day. I feel like there's just only so many hours in a day, and I know, I do admit that it is not the most healthy thing to do lah, right? So that's something that I'm still trying to work on. I also realized that I've become a lot more stressed, and a lot is an understatement, okay? Because now I have actual bills to pay for. Back then when I was just schooling as a student, never had anything to pay for. School was paid for. I had allowance of $300 a month. I didn't pay for my insurance, my phone bills. I didn't pay for anything. So now that I have started working, one day I came home and I just saw AIA insurance papers on my table. And I asked my dad lah, what are these for? And then he told me that,
What do you think? Now you're starting to work, right? And you're doing decently well. Pay for your own insurance lah.
so I started taking over my insurance policies. I now also have a car to pay for. I also have investment or retirement plans that I've bought and I have to fund continuously every year. And the thing is not just that I stress over bills or loans to pay. I also manage a unit of 13. I also have to balance being a full-time student in university. I also have to set aside time for my relationship. I also have to set aside time for reading up on the markets, managing my own personal investments, my own hobbies, right? Making YouTube videos such as this, editing, and God knows how tiring editing videos are. So overall I've just become a lot more stressed than people would think. Sometimes I just think, I don't know if someone my age is supposed to be put under so much stress or pressure. Sometimes the thought does float across my head where, I think, shouldn't 24, 25-year-olds be having fun out there, partying and clubbing? Why am I working so hard? But these are usually just fleeting thoughts. And I usually just tell myself, to put it bluntly, stress is not meant for everyone. Success is not meant for everyone. If, this is too much for you, then just quit, right? But to me, I don't want to quit. Come on, who doesn't want to be successful, right? And if it were that easy, then everyone would be successful already. So to me, giving up is not an option. It definitely isn't. And I think that everyone has to go at their own pace, right? Many time people tend to compare themselves like, I'm 28 this year and look at this dude at 22 years old and he's already earning millions a year. Don't compare yourselves, because ultimately everyone goes at their own pace that they're comfortable with. And I saw this quote once where they say that teens tend to want 40-year-old status when they're only in their 20s, and the truth is you can't skip the process. There's a lot of hard work that goes into becoming successful. It's rarely an overnight thing, bam, just like that you're a millionaire. Of course there are cases that are like that, like maybe you made a degenerate crypto trade and bam, you're a millionaire. But apart from the 1% who are like that, the 99% of the people who are successful actually took a very long journey to get to where they are. So I would say trust the process. You will get there eventually, right? And I realized that among a lot of successful individuals that I have met and became friends with, I realized what sets them apart from the rest is really their mental capacity to push through, the mental strength to not give up when they're going through very trying times. And that is what I really admire about successful individuals and what I really aspire to become. On another note, I feel like there are a lot of people who have a lot of expectations of you. It's like, I'm not blaming my parents, but just an example, when I was young, my parents would tell me,
You better work hard when you're young, right? And not play a fool.
and then when I start working now and I'm working super hard, they're telling me that, when I complain to them, I'm damn stressed, I'm damn tired, I work from 7 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. My parents would tell me from time to time,
Don't work so hard lah, your health is very important.
and I know it's not wrong. It is not wrong for them to tell me that, but it's not easy because I have conditioned myself to want to work hard. I have conditioned myself to so-called chiong for the next, 10 years till I'm at least 30. And then that is when I will start to relax. So while I'm in my mid to late 20s, it's not that easy to just relax, or just don't work so hard, which is what, my parents are telling me now, because I guess they can see that I'm stressed and I've lost sleep over it. I've lost my appetite because of work. And while I know that it is the healthier thing to do, while I know that there has to be a balance between working and relaxing, because you can't just work all the time and not relax, right? It's easier said than done, I believe. So I guess that's what I want to just share a little bit on this particular topic, that, I know that there has to be a fine balance between the two, but it is tough, yeah, because when you're young, there's so many things that you want to do, and there's so little time in a day that you just want to overachieve. So for those of you who are like myself, you are working maybe 2 jobs, you are still schooling. I know it's not easy juggling, but trust me, we're in the same boat. I know exactly how you feel. You're not alone. So the next topic I want to address is dealing with haters. I think that whoever it is, as long as you're successful, you will always have haters. Take for example, someone as nice as Terry Crews. I'm pretty sure you guys know who Terry Crews is. He's such a nice person. Terry Crews is such a nice person. I'm sure he will have haters. Right? Even the person who is dubbed the most likable person in the world, Dwayne Johnson, right? The Rock lah. I'm sure he has haters as well. Whatever you do, whoever you are, you will always have haters. If you're successful, you have haters. If you're average, people will say you're just mediocre. If you're under average, then even worse. Don't need to talk about that. You definitely will have people not liking you because you are incompetent. Right, so to me I much rather be successful and have haters than be mediocre or be below average and have haters. Whatever you do in life, you will always have haters. I think this is a very important topic to address, because in this current era of social media, especially TikTok, a lot of 14, 15-year-olds are putting themselves out on TikTok, and they tend to get a lot of haters because they're saying silly things. And this is something that we should talk about, dealing with haters, because like I said, everyone will have at least one hater somewhere. And whether you have 1 or 100 haters, sometimes it can really get to you. Look at people like Chicken Genius. He's one of the nicest YouTubers I know. He does things that are different from the other YouTubers, and he still gets haters. Right, so to me no matter how nice of a person you are, you always have haters. Okay, I just realized I already said that before. Now I understand why my girlfriend says I'm very loso or long-winded. For me, when I first started putting myself out there on social media, or TikTok to be specific, I got a lot of comments saying,
Daddy's money, typical scammer, your typical financial guru, insurance agent guy, this guy is so ugly that he looks like a lesbian couple with his girlfriend.
that kind of stuff. And to be frank, it really got to me at the start. The first 1 month of putting myself out there, I just got very defensive. Every single hate comment that I got, I wanted to reply and scold them back. But I realized that I have to thank my haters, because it kind of made me grow as an individual. And it made me think, why am I actually so impacted or affected by 18-year-old insecure kids behind anonymous accounts? It just made me think to myself, can you imagine like a 24-year-old NUS student in school just writing,
Daddy's money.
and before he actually comments it, he has to, double check, if anyone saw him typing that comment, and even checking to make sure his account is the anonymous account that he's on. Maybe he has an actual personal account, but he's using the anonymous account to leave hate comments. You never know, right? So to me, it's just hilarious when I think about it that way. And why am I even affected by someone like that? And for all you know, these people could actually be your friends that are jealous of you, right? So I actually heard of this quote from Game of Thrones, which I think a lot of you should have heard of as well. Right? It goes, "A lion does not concern himself with the opinion of sheep." I actually quite like this quote because it's really true lah. Who are you even? Or what have you accomplished in life to be telling me that I'm incompetent? Or that I look for a butch man? I know I look like a girl lah, but hey, it's just that I took after my mom, right? And that's not something to hate on someone for anyway. I can pull off both looks. So to me, if these haters are trying to pull you down, it basically means that you're above them, what? So it really took a lot in me to take the high road, because I realized that at the very start when I was on TikTok, I constantly thought of, very sarcastic remarks to reply these haters. But over time, I just realized that it takes so much time and effort to think of something witty or something sarcastic to reply to them, to the point where I just decided, you know what's faster? Just delete the comment and block the person lah. Done. To be honest, let's say there are 100,000 haters in Singapore, right? Eventually, I'll finish blocking every one of you, what? I know that some people even go to the extent of creating multiple accounts, but it takes me, 5 seconds to delete your comment and block you? It takes you, 2-3 minutes to create a brand new Gmail, create a brand new TikTok just to leave a hate comment on my account, right? You can play the game, I'll just keep deleting and blocking, and we see who wants to spend more time creating Gmail accounts. Right? Come on lah, spend the time doing something more productive lah. Right, so on to the last question of what really goes behind the scenes, what do people not really see behind a successful individual? People tend to see what's on the surface, your nice watches, your fancy cars, good food. Nobody sees what goes beyond that. The amount of effort and time spent building a business, the amount of sleep lost over stress. Nobody really sees the days that I wake up at 7 a.m., work all the way to 11 p.m., only for the day to repeat itself. When you get home at the end of the day, you just want to rest. But you can't really rest because I have to clear my admin backlog. I have to reply all the work emails that I've missed out on the day because I've been attending meetings back to back, paperwork that I have to submit, clients that I have to reply. And after that, I have to set aside time to talk to my girlfriend, set aside time to catch up on the market, read the news, and then at the end of the day, there's not really much time left for Netflix or anything of that sort. So, I don't think that we should be romanticizing hustle culture, because I believe that burnout is real, and once you burn out, it's really hard to get back on your feet. So yes, I do believe in working hard while you're young, but at the same time, learn from my mistakes because I feel like my mental health has deteriorated quite a fair bit. I never believed in this term mental health back then before I started working because to me it's like, just don't be sad lah, just don't be stressed lah, and I would say the past year has been the most stress for me. And over the past year, I realized that actually, I always believed that I was a very mentally strong person. But especially over the past 6 months to a year, I realized that no matter how mentally strong you are, sometimes the stress can really get to you. And I feel that the stress is really starting to get to me. Actually, no, scratch that. It's not starting to get to me. It has already gotten to me. And I feel like maybe it's time for me to take a step back and really chill a bit more. Because if not, I don't want to end up pushing away the people that I love. Like for my relationship, I don't want to end up working too much to the point where I don't set aside enough time for my partner. I don't set enough time aside for meeting my friends because I realize that you have to have pillars of support, and these are going to be your closest friends, it's going to be your partner. Right? And I guess some word of advice, I know that there are many, other people who are much more successful and have much more experience than I do, but just my 2 cents, don't compare yourself to others. I know it's not easy, but just accept the fact that everyone moves at their own pace, because I myself, I wouldn't consider myself where I want to be. I would consider myself successful, but not nearly as where I want to be. And I believe that I still have a good 5 to 10 year runway. I'm only 25 this year. The peak of people's businesses or success typically tends to be when they are in their 30s or 40s. So I believe that actually I still have a long runway, and I'm not going to compare myself to people who are younger than me and are successful. I'm just going to go at my own pace. I'm not going to push myself. Success cannot be forced. Like I said, I always see these nice cars driving along Orchard Road. I'm in my office now, so actually just behind me, many supercars that drive by every day. And many a time I see these Ferraris and Lambos at car shows, car meets. 80% of these people are in their 40s or 50s. Why am I comparing myself to these people? I myself also want to own a supercar in the future. Right? It doesn't have to be now. So, I sometimes, this was at the very start of my career, when I would beat myself up for the fact that I don't own a supercar at my age. Come on, it doesn't make sense lah. Right? These people own supercars when they're in their 40s or 50s. I shouldn't be aiming for or wanting 40, 50-year-old statuses when I'm only in my 20s. It takes time, and I acknowledge that it takes time. So I'm just going to go at my own pace. I'm not going to rush myself. I'm just going to enjoy the process of climbing up to where I will be in 5 to 10 years time. So I just want to say that we're all in the same boat. We're all young. We're all working towards a life that we want to achieve. And I guess a lot of students nowadays are rarely just students anymore. Right? They are usually working a side job. Some of them are financial advisors. Some of them are real estate agents. Some of them have set up their own e-commerce businesses. And all of these students who are working out of their university day-to-day classes, they're going to have a huge advantage compared to students who are just purely university students. Let's say, for example, a local uni course is 3 to 4 years. Can you imagine 4 years worth of networking, 4 years worth of on-the-job experience, 4 years worth of salary, 4 years worth of actually experiencing how the real working world is like? You will have a huge advantage over your peers who are purely just students, right? So for those full-time students who don't have anything on the side, no side job, no side hustle, do you really want to be lacking behind your other peers who have already had 4 years of working experience, 4 years of another side hustle? Do you really want to be behind them? Do you really want to be disadvantaged? Right? Anyway, don't take it too seriously. It's just my 2 cents, some food for thought. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.